Patty, it's good to see you, and I appreciate you taking the time. It's, we want to get a little bit of your history with ECHO, with ASE, and then your experiences as a really established leader and a cardiologist. So let's start at the beginning. When were you first introduced to ECHO, or when did it first catch your attention?
So I enjoyed cardiology as an internal medicine resident, especially the CCU rotation. But it wasn't until I started my cardiology fellowship at Mayo Clinic that I really got interested in ECHO. Part of that was the influence of my mentor, Jamil Tajik.
Right.
And we were discovering things that you could characterize with ECHO in ways that they hadn't been described before. So I was given the assignment of describing carcinoid heart disease with echocardiography, and that was so interesting. Looking at the morphology of the tricuspid valve regurgitation signal, the dagger-shaped profile, seeing myocardial metastases, and just all the interesting findings with the carcinoid valvular heart disease in that population.
It's interesting because I think back on, the first time I ever, and we were in the infancy at, where we were, and just, it was like, gee whiz. I mean, I can remember the first echo, 2D echo I ever saw. Of course, we'd been doing M modes and all that stuff. Was 2D your first introduction, or were you all doing a lot of phonos or M modes or anything like that?
No, the M modes were still being done, reams of paper flying on the floor, but it was pretty much 2D and color flow.
As you think back from that time to where we are today, what have been the technical advances that you've seen and were involved in? Because I know you've been involved in many.
Oh, many. Really, the first thing that I was asked to do was to start stress echo at Mayo Clinic, and that was it was just about right to take off at that time, because the concept of the frame grabber with the side-by-side display of rest and stress images had just become available, and that really enabled the field to take off. But my assignment was to get that program going, and so I selected the equipment and trained the staff, and then taught myself how to do stress echoes. Just as part of that learning experience, as a fellow, I would do a stress echo just on patients that were having an exercise ECG and were willing to volunteer. And in doing that and correlating the echo image data with the stress ECG and any other clinical information that we had about the patients, that's how I learned to do them. And then we started the dobutamine program shortly after that, and I would supervise all the dobutamine stress echoes. I had an extremely strong right arm because I would usually participate heavily in the scanning, especially at peak stress. But it was so interesting. And then, of course, many other areas of the practice have been developed during my time in echocardiography, 3D and strain.
TE, you were some of the early developers of TE.
Yep, and all the quantitative information that has also been expanded.
Well, it's interesting if you think about stress echo, and not only does it play a role in coronary artery disease, but it has become critical in valvular heart disease assessments, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. We started a database for stress echo, and actually kind of modeled it after Mayo Clinic's nuclear cardiology database so that we could capture the prognostic value of the study. And that really helped validate stress echo in the early days by showing that it worked for detection of ischemic heart disease and was a useful prognostic tool in large numbers of patients. I think it really helped validate the field and launch it. But now it is certainly useful in evaluating patients with diastolic dysfunction and all sorts of valvular heart disease, mixed and multivalvular disease too.
Yeah, you think about stress, and I mean, you think about all the developments that have come about, but stress echo clearly is, it's been a tremendous technological development. Patty, when did you first get involved with the American Society of Echo?
Oh, quite a long time ago. I was involved with writing the guidelines for stress echo. Bill Armstrong was the chair of the writing group and invited me to be on the writing group. And I really enjoyed that project. And I was also a member of the Guidelines and Standards Committee. And I learned that if you do a good job on a committee, you're apt to become the chair of the committee. And so that was a really busy and large responsibility, chairing that very busy committee. But I've served on many committees for ASE and have really enjoyed the collaboration and teamwork with members of the society and with excellent staff.
Well, you did. I was telling you earlier that I looked at your exit interview. The last article, the president's page that you did, and you outlined a whole bunch of things that happened. You were the 23rd president of the American Society of Echo, 2012 to 2013. It's hard when people say, what do you remember? It's hard to remember a lot of things, but what stands out not only for what you accomplished or issues that might have come up for the field of echocardiography?
One of the things that was important to me was making sure that we could include as many volunteers as possible in committees and task forces of the society. And so when it came my turn to appoint members of those, I looked at all the volunteers who had wanted to participate, and every single person that year got an assignment. So I think that really increased the grassroots support and strengthened ASE. Other accomplishments and projects that year were the research and technology roadmap, and we published that as a guideline for 2020. And it's been great to see. So that was a symposium where we brought together ultrasound scientists and clinical investigators, NIH, engineers, industry, to kind of craft a roadmap for where the field should go. And it's been wonderful to see the progress and many of the milestones that we established with that roadmap to come to fruition over the years.
Yeah, and you had, and that's super. And you also did a lot with advocacy. You did a lot with global service.
Yes.
You had a lot of things. You did. Didn't you play a key role or during your presidency in getting the sort of the working with CMS for transesophageal interventional echo, not getting paid for standing there for 6 hours or whatever we did initially?
Yes, I remember meeting with CMS and really calling to their attention the important role of echocardiography in improving patient care and ASE's sincere desire to advance quality and standards in the field of echocardiography, and that seemed to resonate with them.
So I'm going to ask you two futuristic questions, but first is that you're shortly going to be the editor of JACE, which is a fabulous honor and a challenge and a job for you. You're following Mike, who followed Alan, who followed Harvey. What are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to that challenge and just to the creativity and opportunity to further shape what I think is already a fabulous journal, really fundamental and essential to the practice and to our society and membership. I would like to try several initiatives, though, focus issues, and I would like to expand artificial intelligence and continue the really important role of guidelines for our practice. Those are so often used by our members just to understand how to best practice echocardiography. I'd like to also engage our sonographers more with the writing and publication of the journal.
Super. I mean, it's under the years of the previous editors. It certainly has grown to be a very prestigious journal. Can have an impact not only in the written word, but in the spoken word or in social media. Do you have ideas about that? I know, now so many people pay attention to podcasts and blogs and Twitter and all that stuff. Do you have some idea of incorporating that?
Oh, yes, for sure. I think that JACE has been really at the forefront in terms of its Twitter journal clubs. Many clever initiatives are already underway, and we will continue and expand those. I think podcasts are a good idea. We need to engage everyone, including people who want to listen instead of read.
Yeah, well, I think it's an exciting time, and again, it's a great honor for you, and I think I'm excited to see how you take it. Where do you think, put on your hat, because you've been certainly in the field for quite a while, have had a tremendous role not only in moving the technology forward, but in shaping policy. Where do you think the field of echo is going to go in the next 5 to 10 years, or needs to go?
The field continues to explode, and we just, presently, it's a challenge, a national challenge for having enough sonographers. We need to do all we can to make sure that the profession is attractive to our sonographers. But the other thing that I'm super excited about is the application of artificial intelligence to echocardiography. I don't think that it will replace echocardiographers, but it is going to be an adjunct to our assessment of images. With the complexity of our practice and now the availability of treatments for conditions like heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, amyloid, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, we need to make sure that we're not missing those diagnoses. And sometimes when there's a lot going on with the echo, valve disease, pulmonary hypertension, other things, ischemic heart disease, one could potentially miss something, a concurrent diagnosis. And artificial intelligence, I think, will help strengthen and improve the quality, standardization, quantitation, and uniformity of interpretation of echocardiography.
That's a good, and I think it's certainly, we know quality and things like that could certainly, I think it will play a role. Last, Patty, I think that it's always fun to go back and think about you could think about your career as an echocardiographer or as a leader of a lab or as involvement with ASE. Do you have any noteworthy memories of and that could be events or people you've been involved with professionally, patients, or any experiences? So if I said, tell me some things that really stand out, and it could be across the spectrum of that.
There's so many
I know.
things, Randy. I have really been passionate about the research that I have done with echocardiography, using it as a tool to understand how to best care for our patients, and relating the echocardiographic findings to patient outcomes and trying to determine the best time for intervention. That has been very exciting and very satisfying. The echo community is such a large and wonderful group of people internationally. The friendships that I've made over the years, the opportunity to travel and connect with our sister societies across the globe, and to get to know people, colleagues, who really share my interest and passion in the field has been just so satisfying and wonderful.
It's dynamite. Listen, I appreciate you've done it. You've done a tremendous job with the field. You've done a tremendous job as a leader with the society, and I know that you're going to do a great job with JACE. So thanks for spending the time with us.
Thanks, Randy.